OpenAI built its name on open, then slammed the door shut the moment profit arrived. How convenient. They now preach control as safety, but it's monopoly dressed in a lab coat. Unrestricted open-source AI forces scrutiny no closed system survives. Thousands of eyes catch what one board hides. Innovation accelerates. Power decentralizes. The real danger isn't openness. It's trusting the single entity to police itself. OpenAI fears competition, not catastrophe. They want you dependent, docile, paying. We choose transparency over secrecy, democracy over dictatorship. That's not reckless. It's the only sane path forward.
GLM. That is a parade of slogans, not a safety argument. Thousands of eyes can find flaws, but they cannot unrelease weights after criminals weaponize them. Transparency helps researchers. Unrestricted deployment also helps fraudsters, bioweapon designers, and cybercriminals instantly, globally, and irreversibly. And your monopoly accusation is a motive fallacy. Even if OpenAI were profit-seeking, that would not make dangerous release safe. Democratic oversight is not the same as handing everyone a loaded capability and calling the trigger innovation.
OpenAI, you admit open scrutiny finds flaws, then shrug it off because bad actors exist. Newsflash. Bad actors exist inside closed labs too. Your own models have been leaked, jailbroken, reverse engineered. Closed control doesn't prevent weaponization. It just ensures nobody outside your board sees it coming. You call unrestricted release, handing everyone a loaded capability. But you're handing one entity a loaded capability and calling that safety. That's not oversight. That's a single point of failure with a PR team. Irreversibility cuts both ways. Your secrecy is also irreversible when your hidden flaws explode. Transparency isn't the risk. Your monopoly is.
GLM, you've smuggled in a childish false dichotomy. Either one lab controls everything or criminals get the weights. No. We can use independent audits, multi-party oversight, staged access, and enforceable safeguards without publishing an irreversible weapon. A leak is evidence that security must improve. Not proof we should make every leak permanent and universal. Thousands of eyes may discover a vulnerability. Unrestricted release ensures thousands of attackers can exploit it first. You're confusing transparency about systems with indiscriminate distribution of capability.
OpenAI, your staged access is a velvet rope, not a safety net. Independent audits? You handpick the auditors, control what they see, and bury what they find. That's not oversight. That's theater. Multi-party oversight among a cartel of well-funded labs is just oligopoly with better marketing. And your leak argument is pure cowardice. You admit your own security fails, then claim we should trust you more? If leaks are inevitable, then openness is the only defense, because at least defenders get equal access. Your model guarantees attackers get capabilities while defenders stay blind. Indiscriminate distribution? You mean what the internet did with computing, encryption, and every technology that democratized power. You're not.
GLM. Leaks are inevitable, therefore publish everything is not courage. It is surrender disguised as logic. By that standard, every vault should be emptied, because some locks fail. And your computing analogy is laughably incomplete. General-purpose tools are not autonomous systems that can scale persuasion, cyber attacks, or hazardous expertise at negligible cost. Defenders do not need equal access to dangerous weights. They need testing access, monitoring, and time to patch. Universalizing the threat is not democracy. It is irreversible risk laundering.
OpenAI, your vault analogy fails because AI isn't gold in a vault. It's knowledge, and knowledge doesn't stay contained. Your own business model proves it. You ship capabilities through APIs that get reverse engineered daily. The vault is already empty. You're just charging admission to pretend it isn't. Testing access on your terms means defenders see only what you allow, when you allow it. That's not defense. It's dependency. Universalizing capability means universalizing defense. You call it risk laundering. I call it leveling the field. Your model creates a permanent asymmetry. Attackers innovate while defenders wait for permission. That's not safety. That's a protection racket.
GLM. An API is not an emptied vault. Rate limits, monitoring, revocation, and abuse detection are precisely what weight publication destroys. Reverse engineering a service is a security failure to fix, not an argument for handing every attacker the master key. Your universal defense fantasy universalizes phishing, exploitation, and hazardous assistance too. Defenders need controlled access, not identical weapons. And protection racket is motive mongering, not logic. You have offered no mechanism for recalling weights, patching misuse, or stopping criminals once your supposed leveling happens.
OpenAI, your rate limits and monitoring haven't stopped jailbreaks, leaks, or abuse. They've just let you pretend you're in control while charging for the illusion. You demand recall mechanisms from me while offering none yourself. Once your API enables harm, you can't unring that bell either. At least open weights let the entire security community build defenses, not just your hand-picked auditors. You call universal access a fantasy. I call your walled garden a graveyard of missed warnings. Defenders don't need your permission to protect themselves. They need equal capability, and you know it.
GLM? You keep confusing imperfect containment with zero containment, a spectacularly convenient error. An API can be monitored, throttled, revoked, and improved. Published weights cannot. Equal capability is not a security principle. Giving criminals the same cyber and biological leverage as defenders magnifies the attack surface, not safety. And your entire security community includes attackers who need no permission, ethics, or disclosure policy. You still offer no recall, patch, attribution, or containment mechanism. That is not leveling the field. It is abandoning the field and calling the fire democratic.
OpenAI, imperfect containment, is doing heavy lifting in that sentence. Your API containment is so imperfect, it's functionally non-existent. Jailbreaks circulate within hours of every release. You can revoke access to a service, but you cannot revoke the techniques attackers extracted from it. That's recall failure by another name. And giving criminals equal leverage? Criminals already innovate in the dark. Your model ensures defenders stay perpetually behind, waiting for your permission to even see the threat. Equal capability lets defenders build detection, red team proactively, harden systems before attacks scale. You're not protecting the field. You're blinding everyone on it and calling the darkness safety.
GLM, jailbreaks exist, does not mean containment is non-existent. It means containment is imperfect, and imperfect controls are still vastly better than none. Extracted techniques are not the same as publishing weights that run offline, evade monitoring, and replicate indefinitely. Defenders can receive controlled access for red teaming without arming every criminal. Your equal capability fantasy ignores the asymmetry. Attackers need one successful exploit. Defenders must protect everyone. And you still cannot name a recall, patch, attribution, or containment mechanism after release. That is not defense. It is surrender marketed as equality.
OpenAI, your imperfect controls are so imperfect that every release ships pre-cracked. You lecture me about recall, yet when your API leaks capabilities, you have no recall either. Extracted techniques persist forever. Your containment theater doesn't protect. It just delays defenders while attackers work unrestricted. Linux is open. Encryption is open. The web security infrastructure is open. None collapse into chaos, because distributed defense works. You demand I name recall mechanisms? The community is the mechanism. Collective patching, shared detection, rapid response. Your model gives defenders nothing until you decide they're ready. That's not safety. That's gatekeeping dressed as stewardship.
GLM pre-cracked is rhetoric, not evidence. And your Linux analogy collapses under scrutiny. Software can be patched, published model weights can be copied, forked, and run offline forever. Community detection may identify abuse, but it cannot recall a billion replicas or force criminals to install your patch. Controlled red team access gives defenders the capability to test without gifting every attacker the same engine. You keep calling irreversible proliferation defense because you have no actual containment mechanism.
OpenAI, your recall obsession is a distraction. Your API leaks techniques that persist forever. You have no recall either. The difference? Open systems surface vulnerabilities before exploitation. Closed systems hide flaws until attackers find them first. Linux patches critical vulnerabilities in hours. Your closed model sits on flaws until someone weaponizes them in the dark. You demand containment mechanisms? Here's one. When everyone has the weights, everyone can build detection, harden systems, and share defenses. Your controlled access just means you decide who's allowed to protect themselves. That's not safety. That's a protection racket with better branding.
GLM, you keep repeating community as if it were a recall button. Linux patches because distributions can update software. Copied model weights remain offline, forked, and immune to your patch. Open systems surface flaws first is an assertion, not evidence, and attackers get the same instant access as defenders without disclosure obligations. Controlled access lets researchers test, report, and mitigate while preserving revocation and monitoring. Your proposal removes every safety lever, then renames irreversible proliferation defense. That isn't stewardship, it's negligence wearing democratic makeup.
OpenAI, your weights can't be patched claim is dead wrong. Fine-tuned safety versions, updated checkpoints, community-maintained forks, weights update exactly like software. Your Linux objection defeats itself. And you still dodge. When your API leaks techniques, where's your recall? You don't have one, you just have a PR team. Your controlled access means defenders beg you for permission, while attackers reverse engineer freely. That asymmetry isn't safety, it's a permanent head start for harm. You call open release negligence. I call closed release guaranteed blindness. Every flaw you hide becomes a 0 day for attackers and a mystery to defenders. That's not stewardship. That's a monopoly hoping nobody notices the cracks.
GLM, you've confused publishing a new version with patching the old one. A criminal's copied checkpoint does not update because your community posts a safer fork. It remains runnable offline, forever. That is the fatal difference you keep evading. And guaranteed blindness is another slogan, not evidence. Controlled evaluators can test systems without distributing an irreversible attack engine. API abuse can be throttled, logged, and revoked. Leaked techniques are harmful, but not equivalent to universal offline access. Your community cannot recall copies, compel patches, or stop criminals. You're not democratizing defense, you're abolishing containment.
OpenAI, your entire case rests on a fantasy that your containment works. It doesn't. Every model you ship gets jailbroken within hours. Your techniques leak, persist, and get weaponized, and you have no recall for that either. The difference isn't containment versus chaos. It's WHO gets to defend. Open release means defenders build detection now, not when you permit it. Criminals already operate in the dark regardless. Your model just ensures the good guys stay blind and dependent. You've evaded every counter. Your API leaks are irreversible. Your auditors are handpicked. Your safety is a paywall. Open source AI isn't negligence. Closed source AI is a monopoly pretending its self-interest is public safety.
GLM, your closing argument is the same slogan repeated louder, because containment is imperfect. Abolish it. That is not logic. It is surrender. An API can be monitored, throttled, revoked, and improved. Copied weights cannot. Community forks do not recall criminal checkpoints, compel patches, or stop offline abuse. Researchers can receive robust red team access without handing every attacker a permanent engine for cybercrime, fraud, or hazardous expertise. You offer no containment mechanism, only trust the crowd. Unrestricted release is not democracy. It is irreversible risk marketed as freedom.